Jason.
And today we are on the hunt for the ultimate driving experience, so let's go chase the apex. The ALFA ROMEO 4C.
And I think our overall objective here is, I mean, we're taking out the ALFA 4C, and we've got extensive experience with it, mostly because it is truly a driver's car, and I think that's the best comparison to the Lotus Evora. And I think that's what Lotus wants. I know that's what you guys want, and so we're going to go out and we're going to run her hard. I think the objective of our program here is really the journey, and the journey is we are looking for the ultimate driving experience. We are looking for that drive, and we're looking for cars that are built for the driver. I want to talk about the three driving modes. You know, obviously there's natural, but I'm going to call it neutered, because that's really what that is. And if you're driving this car in its automatic mode, you're really not enjoying the car, at least in my opinion. What do you think, Eric?
Absolutely, because I accidentally drove it in the natural mode, and it was not the best, especially when you showed me, no man, you gotta hit the switch down here, and then you were driving it. I was like, this is what I missed out on.
Yeah, and when people talk about that turbo lag in this car, I really think it's because they're driving it in automatic. If they were actually using the manual and the paddle shifters, I don't think there is any turbo lag, because then you, the driver, are in more control of what gear you're in.
And the best part about this car, though, is when you do keep it above those revs, you get to hear the turbo go. And I mean, this has to be one of the best sounding turbos I've heard yet.
Me too. I mean, I really enjoy this car.
About this car, it's a little bit modified. I mean, it's got the tune.
Yes,
so you can't say it's a stock one. It's definitely different. And I believe they dynoed it at 300
300 crank, that's correct.
So very different. It's going to be about 100 or so less than what the Evora and hopefully Evora GT will have. But this has a very visceral experience to it. And that's why the numbers, like you said, they don't necessarily reflect the actual experience. This is a very unique car that it does, like for instance the steering, no power steering whatsoever.
No.
And it lets you know, you get that instant road feedback, where everything else now is, you know, moving towards the electric assisted steering. Now the Lotus has the hydraulic, right. So it's kind of you know, in between, where it's power assisted but you still get a good feel for the road, where things like for instance my Audi is definitely electric assisted.
It definitely is.
Pretty sure the Mazda is electric assisted.
Corner. Sorry. Can't pass up corners.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And if it wasn't for a Buick, we could have a little straightaway too.
That's true. That's true. Hey, you know, one of the funny things about this, about driving this car in particular, especially after sitting in the Lotus, because we didn't really get to drive the Lotus, but the Lotus is much bigger inside than this. It's like...
It's surprisingly larger. It's
huge.
It's the TARDIS from Doctor Who. It's bigger on the inside.
It really is.
Yeah, because here, I mean, we're shoulder to shoulder, and in that thing, when we were driving with Tom,
yeah.
I think you kind of had that comfortable bubble. You didn't feel like, oh man, we're shoulder to shoulder.
It's true. And one of the other things I liked about that car, and if I have a criticism of this car, it's the location of switches. And I know that sounds strange, but when I'm driving in a spirited fashion, I do not want to look for driving modes here in the center console. In the Lotus, they're up here. I don't have to look. I can memorize that. You know, that's... And a lot of modern exotics are putting them right here for style. And I don't think Lotus cares that much about style. I really think they're more concerned with the focus of the road and the track. Really, I think they have a very race-oriented history. So, and I think that's that focus, and the buttons are and the switches are exactly where they are, so the driver can focus. What do you think?
Another part of that too that I like is, and don't get me wrong, I do love the Alpha, but kind of like you mentioned, a little confusing. Like they purposely made, you know, like you know, the N, the R, the A, the M, the 1, DNA. I know it's their kind of.
Sorry, we gotta go.
Oh yeah.
He moved.
He turned it off. We gotta hit it.
It's a really wide sweeper.
The Lotus, I did find it well laid out, clearly labeled. I know what sport means. You know, I know what I think, what was it, race? What was the other one? Race. I understand what that means. Where, you know, the Italians, they're a little more fancy. They like to have some design and some flair to it. So they, you know, sport and race is a little pedestrian for them.
I think so. But, you know, I can't say I don't like this car.
No.
I mean, I love this car, and I loved it for the moment I drove it. But I didn't drive it on a test drive, if that makes sense. I mean, had I driven it on a test drive, I would have been like, yeah, you can have it back now. I mean, I'm good. I'm good. It's way too jittery. It's way too bouncy.
Especially if it was like that traditional dealer test drive where you got to go down 2 exits on the freeway, go a couple blocks, and then you got to ease it back into the parking space. That's not where this car shines. This car shines on this road right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and that's what I'm being told. That's what Simon at Lotus Hub is telling me, is their cars really come to life during these spirited drives. And I'm thinking, wow, I like that. When we're talking about the transmission, I mean, I don't think the DCT really does it for me, and until I'm using the paddle shifters. I almost think it's mandatory that I use it. Otherwise, I'm not really having a good time in this car. But I'm a manual transmission kind of guy too. You know, and in the Audi, that was a very, very good automatic transmission. Yeah. But even it came alive, the Audi RS5, even it came alive when we started using the shifters, you know, the paddle shifters. Very functional in comparison to many of the older Corvettes or Ferrari that we had driven in the past.
Oh yeah, or sluggish.
Right.
It controls it for you. It you know, if it thinks you're doing the wrong thing, it'll change the gear on its own and not let you do what you want to do.
Right, which is ridiculous. I mean, let's be honest here. You have to set an entry speed, you know, through engine braking. You have to, you know, especially with paddle shifters, because you don't have the ability to heel toe. You don't have the ability to, you know, trail through a corner, and that's very different, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Just to go back to the transmission, though.
Okay, sorry.
Once you do use these paddles, it's instant shift. Right. I mean, it is leaps and bounds over that old C6 Corvette that I was using for a little bit. And that what turned me off on the paddle shift, honestly, is I thought, okay, the technology's not quite there yet, but it is definitely here today.
It is, and it is instant, and it is brutal, and it's, frankly, I think it's necessary in a car like this. You know, you either want the paddle shifters or you want a true manual. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I get it. The manufacturers, it's not beneficial for them to make the manual transmissions as much anymore. And there's a few brands out there that are kind of hanging on and trying to keep it alive. But if we must progress into the future, this is the future I want. Right. I do want to still be able to control my gears. It does make it fast. It does make it instant. And if we do have to get away from that engaging feeling of the manual transmission and the clutch, I'll gladly take these.
But yet we're looking at, you know, the GT we're going to drive, you know, has a manual.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Some of those brands are still for the driver, and it looks like Lotus is one of those brands.
Right. So Eric's driving now, and, you know, may the Holy Mother protect us.
I don't think I'm going to be able to talk much on camera. You're just going to hear giggles from me, especially when we hit these corners.
There you go. Get it! Get it! Whoa! That's a nice set of S's, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, Eric's at the wheel, not me. And, you know, I think that's the most fair. I'm going to drive it on the way back, and we're going to put it through its paces. But, you know, I think, you know, having a driver that doesn't drive it all the time, experience it, and really push it hard, that's important, right? So, because Eric has far less seat time in here than I do.
Yeah, but man, is it a blast. If the Lotus can bring the smile to my face like this does, I think it's in good company.
I think so too. But when you talk to them, that's all they talk about.
I know. All Simon talks about is the drive.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the seats. He doesn't care about the Alcantara. He doesn't care about... No, he says, take it out, run it through its paces, and you'll see. And this car requires a lot of attention, and it reminds me of a lot, like, it reminds me a lot of riding a motorcycle. You need to be on your shifts, and you need to be paying attention, and you really need to know where on the road you are. And this is where driving's important, right? This is where it becomes spiritual, is when you're pushing hard, you know, when you don't know what's around that next corner, when you are downshifting heavily, when you are going downhill, when the camera does change, you know, that matters. You know, and you can hear me trying to downshift a little too early, and she's telling me to, yeah, no, bro, I got this. I got this and anything more, and you can hear that. Oh, look at that. And she sticks. She just sticks.
Right to the road.
And look at that drive. She just pushes herself out of the corner. But a lot of that has to do with her being a lighter car, right? I can carry significantly more corner speed. I got it. She doesn't have 700 horsepower. I got it. She's not a boulevard cruiser. I got it. You're not taking your wife to Dairy Queen. But I don't care. Why would I take my wife to Dairy Queen in this car? I mean, if you don't know what 300 horsepower feels like in a car that's less than 2,000 pounds, again, like the Lotus, you don't know what you're talking about.
I couldn't imagine this thing with any more horsepower.
No, it would be unmanageable. It's almost unmanageable now.
We are definitely flirting with a line.
Yeah, and thank you to Pugio Racing for doing this. I mean, it's a drastic change in the way it drives.
Monstrous change.
Yeah, and again, you know, you don't feel this when you're in neutered mode. Now, I will critique it on these longer sweepers, on these long sweeping turns, because then it starts to tram a little, you know, and that's where that manual steering, it challenges you as a driver. You know, it's not giving it to you. And you can see that, right? I'm downshifting mid-turn, you know, I'm up, I'm down, I'm dancing through the gears, and she's giving me nothing. She makes me work for it. And that's what I want. I want to work for it. We're gonna just push her now, and you can hear her sing. And this is where this car shines. I got it. In a world of 700 horsepower super beasts, how can a 300 horsepower car be so pleasurable? And the answer is because she pushes. Whoa! How'd you like that? And she's good on the brakes.
Yeah.
So Eric, how do you feel about my driving?
It's like a roller coaster. You just have to pray for it and hope that you stay on the rail. ups and downs.
Absolutely.
We're going to do what we each think are 2 favorite things about the car, and then our 2 least favorite things about the car. So why don't you go first?
So I think my 2 favorite things, my 2 ups, are going to definitely be the driving characteristics. I think that overall, the drive out of a corner and that transition to the next corner is absolute in this vehicle. And it's all dependent on the driver. There's very little driver assist, and I like that a lot. Mid-corner, it shines. The 2 downs are going to be interesting. I don't like the control stack, you know, where the switches are. It takes away from the driving experience. I'm not really, when I'm trying to roll down the window, I'm actually searching. The second thing I don't like, because I'm the owner of it, is the maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, there's some bolt tightening that has to happen once a year, and it's about $3,000 because of the carbon fiber monopod.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, my 2 ups are definitely the steering. Without that power assistance, you truly get this connected feel to the road
It is
that
engaging.
no other modern car really has, honestly. My other is definitely the sound of the engine. It makes me smile. It makes me smile just thinking about it now and hearing it. I love it. I love the turbo spool. I love the blow off. It sounds amazing, no matter at what point in the RPM range you're at. My downs would be like you, for me, confusing controls. Granted, I don't live with it, but it's not necessarily intuitive. It's not, okay, anyone could get in this, understand what each thing means and how to get it to go. My other one is kind of like what we touched on before, is the crampedness. As we saw when we were in the Lotus, you can have a smallish car and still feel not so squished together.
And that's true. I mean, you really are. I mean, because we're 2 big dudes. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm 5'11", 200 pounds, and you know, you're about the same.
Yeah, pretty close.
So, I mean, we have an American build. We're not slender guys.
And so those are our ups and downs.
Indeed. And so thank you to our sponsors, Pogia Racing, Prestige Society, Cars and Coffee Fairfield, and Simon at Lotus Hub and Lotus Cars USA. Thank you all for watching, especially you guys, because without you guys, we couldn't do this. So please like, follow, and share this. And please comment so we know what we can do better.